Hi, and welcome to Cooking with BFit. I'm your host, Joshua Glenn. So I have a philosophy here in my classes that I teach at BAO, and that's eat the cake, don't eat the whole cake. So a lot of times when you're trying to eat healthy, you're dieting, whatever it may be, you tend to think that you have to cut out all sweets from your life, and that's not necessarily true. You can have a balanced diet while introducing sweet things to your diet. So today we're going to be taking a recipe that some of you may be familiar with of cheesecake and changing it just a little bit. And today we're going to be making a healthier ricotta cheesecake.
Okay.
Alright, so we've made a few changes to this recipe to make it a little bit healthier and to control how much sugar is going into it. So for our crust, we're going to be using a sugar-free shortbread. You can find these at any grocery store. You can use any crumb that you would like, any of your favorite cookies that may be sugar-free, or you could use a sugar cookie. It doesn't really matter, but for the purposes of today, we're using a sugar-free cookie. I also have some light brown sugar and some cinnamon here. And so you could use plain processed sugar, so the calorie count and sugar content of regular sugar versus light brown sugar is the same calorie wise per serving, but we're just going with a light brown sugar because it's going to give us more flavor in our crust. So what we're going to do is we're just going to add in, this is about 1 2/3 cups of crumb that I just taken in a food processor and blended up. We have about I think it's 1/3 cup of butter that's softened. You don't want it melted, you just want it softened, so you can soften that overnight at room temperature. And then we're going to add in our cinnamon and our brown sugar. And we're just going to blend all these together until it kind of comes together and becomes crumbly. Alright, so our crust has come together, and as you see, it'll form really nicely like this, but then it will crumble apart. This is exactly what you want. So you could put this recipe into a springform pan, a cake pan, a pie dish, but today we're going to be putting them into cupcake pans. So one, that this allows us to portion control a whole lot easier, and we're just going to take a little bit of our crust, about 1/2 tablespoon or so, and we're going to put them in there, and then we're going to come back and we're just going to press this down into our cupcake liner. Now we're going to finish the rest of these and then pop these in the fridge for about 15 minutes until they're chilled, and then we'll be ready to make the filling. Alright, so now it's time to make our filling. So I have in my bowl here, this is 2 15-ounce containers of the lower fat ricotta cheese made with skim milk. And the reason you could use regular ricotta cheese if you wanted to. The reason I'm using this is compared to cream cheese or full fat ricotta, this has less carbs and less fat per serving than that of its low-fat counterpart in cream cheese. It has higher protein and higher calcium values, so you can almost feel like you're eating something a little bit healthy when you're making this dish. So we have our 2 15-ounce. To that, we're going to add 1/2 cup of sugar. I'm just going to mix that all in there. We have 1/4 teaspoon of salt and 2 tablespoons of flour. You could use this with whole wheat flour if you wanted to. Also, I have about a tablespoon of lemon juice and a teaspoon of finely grated lemon zest. We're just going to add that to our bowl, and we're going to pop this in the mixer and give it a whirl. Alright, so just put everything onto our KitchenAid here, and we're going to add in, it's 1/2 cup of 1/2 and 1/2 cream. Again, you could use a whole cream if you wanted to, or use milk if you wanted to. We're going to use 1/2 and 1/2 for today. So we're just going to mix that in, and then we're going to turn this on low and mix it until everything's incorporated together. Alright, so now all of our ingredients are incorporated. We're going to mix in on low our 2 eggs that we've lightly beaten already. You want to make sure that you beat them beforehand, and we're just going to turn this on low and slowly mix them in. Alright, so our crusts have chilled, and we have our mixture all mixed together. Now, if you are familiar with making cheesecakes, you know that cheesecake normally has a slightly thicker substance. This is going to be very runny. Don't freak out, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to ladle these in. This will make 24 individual servings, this recipe will. We're going to pop it into a 350 oven for about 50 minutes. So this is going to take a while. So we're going to let them cook for about 50 minutes, and then we'll finish them off. Alright, so our cheesecakes have just come out of the oven. They've been in there about 45 to 50 minutes, just until they're set in the center. So what we're going to do now is make a sour cream topping to go on back of them. Make sure that you leave your stove on when you're doing this. So you're going to let these sit out and for about 15 minutes, let them cool just a little bit. We're going to add in to a cup of light sour cream about 2 tablespoons of sugar and about 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. Just going to mix that together until everything's blended really good, and then we're going to top our cheesecakes. Alright, using a spoon, you're going to do about half a tablespoon onto each cheesecake, and we're just going to dollop it on there, and then we'll take the back of the spoon and spread it out. Once you do all of these, you're going to place them back into your oven for about 10 minutes, just until it cooks on top. Alright, so once your cheesecakes have baked, or your cheesecake has baked for about 10 minutes with sour cream topping, you just want to place those in the fridge for about 2 to 3 hours until it's completely chilled. So the magic of television, or the magic of Facebook, we already have some chilled. So these are a wonderful substitute to your traditional cheesecake. They're still going to have the same mouthfeel as cheesecake, but you're making a healthier option because it only has a half a cup of sugar compared to the anywhere from 1.5 cups to 3 cups of sugar that traditional cheesecake has. So our special guest taster today is Chris Howenstein, the Director of Client Services here at BAO.
Hello. Cheesecake is my absolute favorite thing in the entire world, so I'm very excited to try this. Oh my gosh. That is so good. I'm going to eat all of these now. I'm going to take this.
And there you have it. A healthier option for cheesecake. Remember, eat the cake, don't eat the whole cake. Thanks for tuning in. Again, you can follow us on Facebook at Birmingham AIDS Outreach or on our website at baobhm.org. Bye.